Hello, dear creative heart, and welcome to this new painting series of mine where we are going to be painting the Seahorse Spirit Animal Guide. Now, if you're new to me, I like to just share with you guys all of the art supplies that I'm going to be using during this tutorial, and I'm just going to share some beautiful information with you to get the connection with the seahorse started. And I'm also going to just explain to you where to get this reference material and everything that you hopefully or possibly might need to participate in this wonderful acrylic painting journey. We are certainly going to connect with the seahorse and just ground ourselves in this year of 2025 as we get into this year. I really want to thank the snake for helping us make this transition from last year and to just ground ourselves in 2025. But it doesn't matter what year you are watching this painting tutorial, because everything that I'll be sharing will be relevant during your life. It really doesn't matter what year it is. So I want to encourage you to just light a candle and gather around, and let's get into this amazing painting tutorial. Now, for my Patreons, that is on the paying tier, that is $5 a month. It's really a giveaway. You guys will have access to the episodes as I release them. So my paying Patreons are usually up to date and then ready to dive right in with me as we get into the seahorse. For the rest of my creative heart friends that's on the free tier of my Patreon, you will get access to some of the first episodes of this painting tutorial, just to whet your appetite and to give you a bit of a taster of what we're going to be getting into. But if you are not on my paying tier, you will have the majority of this work. You will not have access to it simply because it's for my paying tier. So if you see during the first few episodes that you really want to get into the seahorse with me, then you can upgrade into the paying tier and you will also have immediate access. Or you can wait for the launch date of the complete course and then upgrade or purchase the class on my Patreon store. So if you go to your Patreon sort of channel where all of my material is available, just look at the top bar on your Patreon app and you will find that there are a number of icons. And I did do a little bit of a running tutorial the other day, but just in case you knew, I want everyone to feel included and to participate. So if you go to my Gideon Slide Creative Coaching channel, you will see that at the top there are a number of columns or headings. Now this is currently on, let me put it down, on the post settings. So you will see my posts as I share it with you on the post setting. Now it's really hard to follow along with the class that you are focused on through this method, because you have to scroll through all of my posts to get to where you were last. So it's easier to just click on collections. So all of my classes go into collections, and as I wait for my phone just to open this up, don't know why it's so slow today, it's still sleeping a little bit. But anyway, here you can see my 100-day project, the seahorse, which we're starting with today. So you can see there's only one episode there. The snake and the dragonfly. So whichever class you are busy with, if you may be busy with my Buddha painting class, where is my Buddha painting class that I selected now? Buddha for October. Let's say, for example, you're busy with Buddha for October. You go to collections, go to Buddha for October, click on it, and it should open like this. And you have all of the sessions lined up together for you, so you don't get sort of distracted with everything else, because this is just that particular class. And the Buddha for October has a total of 83 episodes because it's running over more than 1 year. So maybe you are still busy with the owl, so you can just select the owl and get into your class segment that you are. And I'm really trying to label things very clearly, which episode I'm busy with, so that it is easy to find your way through the collection to the episode that you want to watch and paint along with. Okay, so hopefully that is a little bit more explanatory. Then you have chats, and for the paying tier Patreons, we have the Creative Heart Tribe on Patreon, and this is a little bit of a group for my paying tier, and this is where I share my progress art, and I encourage you to share your progress art with me as well. Alternatively, I have the Creative Heart group on Facebook, and that is a bigger community that I've had for a number of years. So all of the links will be in the description of this video. And then right at the end, you have my shop. And in the shop, we're starting to develop some goodies for you guys to get into. And also you can purchase one of my painting tutorials if you're not interested to subscribe to the paying tier. If you want to remain in the free tier, but you do want to purchase a class, you can purchase a class here. And you will see the prices vary depending on the size of the class. Like for example, if you wanted to purchase the dragonfly so that you have access to it for life, then you can purchase it on my shop for $50 US. And I just want to encourage you all to look at that, because you have to remain signed in on Patreon. So you will only have access through the Patreon app to these purchases that you make. So there has been some confusion in the past, and I just want to clarify that with you guys. As long as you are subscribed, you will have access to all of my material. If you unsubscribe but you remain a member, then you will be in the free tier that will have limited access. But if you've purchased a class from me, it is yours for life. You have access to it for life, and also the updated or any episodes that I add to that class will be yours at no extra cost. But you have to remain signed in on Patreon in order to access it. So you don't access it through an email, or you don't download it and own it in that way. So just to clarify for you guys how things in the shop work, unless it is a download link, for example, I have this what do you call this, posters that you can download. So there are 5 posters that I created for the snake, and you can purchase these posters. It's only $5, so it's $1 each, but there are 5 beautiful posters. And then when you purchase it, you will get a download link, and you can download these posters and print them out for yourself. So I'm also going to be making prints available of my final paintings that you can then purchase and print out and have it either printed on a canvas or on paper, and frame it and enjoy it. And I'm also looking towards creating future sort of little gadgets, either maybe a coffee mug or a painting. I don't know what it's called now. A voorschoot. A petticoat. No, it's not a petticoat. Just, those things that the chef wear. My brain sometimes leave me and I can't find words. So as we get into my painting tutorial, and you might be new to my channel, I do want to just explain a little bit about my personality and how I do things. I am diagnosed with ADHD, dyslexia, and I'm also entry level into the autistic spectrum. I'm Afrikaans, that is my heritage. I'm South African, and my sort of home language is Afrikaans, but I'm married to my husband and he is English speaking, and I've had to learn to be bilingual. So I offer all of my online classes in English simply to make it available to everyone. But there are some days when my personality disorders get activated. Majorly, I might not find a word that I'm trying to say to you guys, and then what I usually do afterwards in the video, I will just add the word that I couldn't find, or I will clarify an explanation where I maybe sometimes use the wrong word, just to clarify. So guys, thank you for sticking with me. This is part of my personality. This is how I show up, and this is how I offer the best that I have in order to empower everybody around me to enjoy painting, but not only to learn how to paint in acrylic paint or in other mediums, but definitely how to grow in the art of our lives. So the canvas serves as a metaphor for your life. I encourage you during the entire painting tutorial to constantly check in with yourself. What are the quality of your thoughts? What are you feeling and experiencing? Are there any memories triggered from your youth or from your past that maybe still needs a little bit of intention and a little bit of a healing balm to bring you out of victim mentality in that story that we tell ourselves around our trauma, and to rise above it and to use it as a stepping stone to live a life that is empowered, filled with purpose and with meaning, and to dig deep into your personal resilience, because we have all of this available to us. Every difficult life challenge that you go through in life, that you persistently and with confidence just face and use it as an opportunity to grow in your personality, can only make you stronger and wiser. And that is sort of the whole point of me using a specific symbol that we are focusing our attention on. So that gives us a physical shape and form to look at in the art of painting. But the metaphysical information about the symbol that we choose, the nature of this animal and its environment, it gives us clues to look at. And if we draw it as a metaphor to the art of our lives, then we can begin to recognize areas that need some personal growth or some tweaking. It can also be used as a way to reflect and to use a stoic kind of perspective of self-improvement, because I believe, as a creatively fit coach and as a human being walking my journey in this life, that the only thing we truly have control over in our lives is ourselves. We don't have control over others. We don't have control over life in the biggest scheme of things. We can only make decisions in the moment. We can set intentions and raise our vibration and begin to manifest the goals that we will set through this painting tutorial. But how it arrives in our life and the people that we deal with, we can never change them. We can only change ourselves. So I continually will encourage you, whatever life is reflecting to you through this scene that you are experiencing in your life, there are many clues in there to show you exactly what it is that you are thinking, what it is that you are speaking into existence, and what it is that you are doing through habit and default that sometimes causes us to think, why is life not working out for me? Why does it feel like life is happening to me instead of happening for me? So, as a coach, I like to just reiterate that life is happening for you. If you are feeling like a victim in any of your situations, you have the power to rewrite that story, to rewrite the narrative that you are sharing with everyone around you constantly. And hopefully, the seahorse is going to guide you to find that beautiful divine balance between the masculine and the feminine. It will teach you how to remain grounded in your circumstances and to really dig deep into your personal resilience to ride the currents and storms of life. And I think it is quite relevant if we look at our current world situation. Politics is confusing, and it's distressing to see how things that have been stable for years are literally collapsing in front of our eyes. And it is in dark times like this where I believe that art can help us to choose a different vision, to choose a different thought and vibration, and to begin to create a new earth. And this is where I want to encourage you in a mindful way to allow your creative practice to be your therapist, to be your healer, to be your anchor in tumultuous times where the waters of life might feel choppy and the currents that wants to grab us in all kinds of directions based in fear can seem overwhelming. So let's call on our beautiful seahorse spirit animal guide for wisdom and for guidance during this year that we are facing. So before we can get into our painting, I think it's a good thing to just review some of the materials and art supplies that I will be using in order to paint this beautiful painting that we are going to paint. Now, first and foremost, I create these reference materials using AI. And the reason for that is I want to be able to share with you guys a reference material that is free of copyright. So in the past, it's really difficult to find a subject to paint that I can share with everyone that has no copyright restrictions and that has all of the elements in there that I want to have in the image. So my husband and I, who's also a creatively fit coach, so by the way, we use AI to create or generate for us through the prompts that we share with it an image that we like to work with, and we add elements to it that I feel is symbolic, that I as a coach can then explore with you and use it as a catalyst or a metaphor or as an image to invoke a certain idea or sort of wisdom that you can dive into and use as a way to reflect on your life. So we used our prompts, and I wanted an undersea scene, and I wanted us to be underwater. And I asked for a beautiful, colorful seahorse, and it captured its bony, plate-like structure beautifully. But you will notice that AI is not always the most accurate of artists, because the tail of the seahorse is slightly superimposed on top of its body, and I've tried to adjust it, but I didn't want to lose any of the elements in it. So I'm going to show you how you can adapt your painting according to the reality of the subject matter, because that's definitely not how it looks like in life. It's close, but not entirely there. Then another thing that the AI did for me that I didn't really want, but I do love the picture, is it separated the seahorse scene from the seascape in the background. Now, actually, it's quite interesting because this could be interpreted as underwater, and then the scene behind could just be the sea. So we're going to have choices to make. We could take out this beaching wave and just pretend that the seahorse is completely under the water and that is the surface of the water with ships on top. Really, the possibilities are endless, and we will explore it as we get into it. But where can you get this reference material? Okay, so in the description of this video, there will be a few links for you to use. One of the links is my link tree, and I will be sharing this image on my link tree, which I will actually post this on my website. That's just where I host it, but it's easy to just grab it in my link tree and download it or take a screenshot and then have it printed out so that you also have it on paper as a reference material. I just find that it's more grounding to work with something on paper than digital, because on digital, if you keep using that as your reference, it could not, the color could be far more vibrant than paint can offer you. And seeing that this is printed with paint or inks from your printer, it's much easier to match up your colors than it is with a digital picture, and it always feels like the digital picture is far more vibrant than the painting, and I don't want that disparity for you. So print out the reference material, get your art supplies, and then I will guide you into how we're going to be painting this. And I'm going to be showing you guys during this particular tutorial a method of mine to really just paint and enjoy. So it's going to be less stiff. It's going to be less compartmentalized in the sense of we're painting one element at a time like we usually do. I want this painting experience to be free and a lot more loose and expressive. So we're going to be using a lot more paint on the brush and allow our painting experience to really guide us. So there's a lot more fluidity to this experience that I'm planning to share with you guys than some of my previous painting tutorials. Each has its style because it connects with that animal and it has a message to convey to you. So each of the tutorials will have a slightly different approach that you will see on my collections. For example, the owl and the snake we painted on a black canvas. We painted on a black background. But this particular seahorse painting, we are going to be painting on top of this cadmium red light. So we're going to be covering our entire canvas with this intense light red orange hue, and this is going to be our background. Now you can just already see this color next to all of these beautiful greens and blues, how it's going to pop. So this is something new that I'm going to be introducing in this particular painting tutorial, and I just want to share this painting style with you guys, and I hope whether you're a beginner or a novice or an amateur or a professional, I don't really care how you come to this table. I do, however, ask of you to just come with an open mind and an open heart. And what I usually say to my patrons is first watch the video and then gather the materials and then go about rendering that particular episode and demonstration in your own way. And I remind you from day one that we are not photocopy machines. We are artists. Even if you believe that you're not an artist yet, I will address that as we go. But just go with the flow and realize that each of us have a unique style of painting. It is sort of like our handwriting. Nobody's handwriting is the same. So I don't want you to feel inferior or compare yourself with other artists and say, my painting doesn't look like his, therefore I'm not good enough. That is the first thing I want you just to take and chuck it in the dustbin, because it's not true. Each brush mark will have its own energy, and I want you to learn through this creative practice to begin to love yourself, begin to accept yourself, and begin to offer yourself unconditional love. Embrace the marks that you are making. And if it doesn't look refined like mine, that's fine. It's just your painting. And allow this process to be transformative through opening yourself up and becoming a little bit less rigid and a bit more flexible. So this is what I'm going to encourage you guys to do. You are also able, when you watch an episode, you can go into the settings, because all of this material is stationed on YouTube. So the driving format there is adjustable. So you can always click on the play speed, and you can slow things down, turn down the volume if you want to paint with me in real time. Then it's much slower, giving you time to respond to what you're seeing. That's an option. Or you could just watch a few minutes, see what I do with one section, pause the video and do it yourself, and then continue to play the episode. So it might mean that you watch a episode more than once until you're able to get through that particular demonstration and render it on your own painting. Then I'm going to ask you guys, after the end of each episode, take a photograph of your painting. It's going to be helpful for both you and for myself. And then share it with me either on the Creative Heart Tribe group on Patreon or the Creative Heart group on Facebook. And just share. You don't have to explain a lot, and I promise you everyone in the community is super supportive. You won't find judgment or criticism. If you want feedback from me, you are welcome to ask me, or just share with me personally in a direct message. You are always welcome to email me through the Patreon app. I will also give you my information on this description of this video. Okay, I want to be in connection with you guys and connect with you, and I want to be able to encourage you, especially during the ugly phases of a painting. And trust me, every painting has an ugly face, so please don't get discouraged. Then I also want to encourage you that life happens to all of us, in that sense that you might make a commitment to come to your creative practice every week, every day, whenever I share an episode, in order to stay updated. But as you know, you have responsibilities, I have responsibilities, and life happens. And I don't want you to feel that you get behind. There is no such thing as behind. You are exactly where you need to be at every moment in your life. Just trust the process of life. But I want to encourage you to remain grounded and focused and committed to complete a painting and to get through the entire tutorial. So whenever life called upon you to sort of focus more on life, I want you to make a commitment from day one to set aside some time during your week where you are able to watch a video and to actually get to painting. Because I believe that the personal growth happens in the doing, not just in the observation. Okay, so I want you to feel empowered during the process. So set aside about an hour or so a week in order to watch an episode and then to render it. And I am going to try to keep the episodes sort of within an hour or less. It depends on where we are in the process, so that it doesn't become too overwhelming and too tiring for you to follow along. But just persist, and I promise you this is going to be a lot of fun. And the sharing helps me to recognize that people are participating. That nourishes my soul, so I really appreciate it. Now, I do understand that most of you won't share with me because you are still dealing with some limiting ideas and beliefs. And some of them might be, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, it doesn't look like his or hers, and or I don't have the same materials, I'm not even going to share it because it doesn't look remotely the same. I don't care. I celebrate the art that you create, and I want you to feel part of our community. And it is when we start to share in a vulnerable way, trusting and believing that no one is going to say, "What's that?" I will definitely never say that to you or ask you. There's something that happens when we open ourselves up to sharing our art. There is something energetic that happens, and I want to encourage you because this is the safe space and environment to do just that. And what I also want you to do, if you do have any questions, do post those questions in the video in the comments. I will answer them there, because it will also help future patrons that watch that episode is able to go into the comments and maybe you've asked a question that they have, And if I've answered your question, then they already get the answer, right? So this is one way of giving back. And then I would also appreciate it if you like my video, and that just helps to build the algorithm, especially within my community. And if it's a public video, please share it. And this is your way that you can support me and help me to be exposed to a larger community and to find fellow tribe members that could benefit from this amazing journey at the canvas. So, without any further ado, now that you know where to get the reference material on my link tree, oopsie daisy, I usually have a little bit of a sticky tacky thing here because I put it up in front of me while I'm talking with you guys and painting. Right, let's look at our art supplies or materials. Let me have a sip of tea. That's the first thing you need. A good sip of tea just to keep the throat lubricated. I work on a square canvas simply because it is a size that works beautifully for me on camera, and a square canvas really gives us something that is shareable for Instagram and all of that, but it really makes life easy because look at this, my reference material is also square. So if you are a beginner and you feel like you want to be able to trace this on the canvas, absolutely yes, that's one way to do it. What I will do or suggest then is that you print the reference material out on an A3 size, so it's slightly bigger. So this square will then be able to fit on top of your canvas, which is 30 centimeters by 30 centimeters. Now in inches, let's quickly see what inches is. Inches are, so it's 11, oh God, why is it always like that? It's 11 point, almost 12 inches, just short of 12 inches by 12 inches. Yeah, it's just a little bit short or shy of 12 inches. I don't know what the number is there. There's no number there. Numbers is not my strength. So that's why I try to avoid anything mathematical, because I begin to talk a lot of gibberish, because numbers sometimes is just too abstract for me to relate to you, but you get what I'm trying to say to you, and then I begin to repeat myself because I think people don't understand because I'm not clear about it. Anyway, print out your reference material on an A3 size if you want to trace it on your canvas, or you're going to have to buy a canvas that's the size of an A4. This is an A4, and in centimeters, this is like 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters. Now you do get canvases that size. So if you want to trace it, just make sure that the paper print version of it is the same as your canvas size, because then you are able to take just an ordinary pencil like this and just rub it on the back to transfer that carbon. I also sometimes use a little carbon stick like this. You get them in sticks as well, which is a little bit easier. And then when you turn your paper around, then you can trace it again all around a particular element, and then it should transfer a bit of a carbon line to your canvas. And then you can always paint around things and fill things in like a coloring book. So that's one way that you can go about it. But I'm going to show you my way of doing it. So I just wanted to add that if you're a beginner and you are new to this and you think this is a very deep ocean to dive into, because we do have a lot of interesting and beautiful elements that we have on this reference material. Okay, enough said about that. So I'm going to be painting on a 30 centimeter by 30 centimeter square painting board, and this is covered in natural cotton. It's got a medium grain and it's 280 GM square. So there you have it. Okay, so that is what I'm going to be painting on. Now let's look at the colors, and in the description of this video I've listed everything that you need with all of the links that you require. Please use it as a resource material. Okay, first and foremost, this will be the first time I'm painting with this particular color in my tutorial, so it's a new introduction. There's a few new colors or ways that I'm going to be working with it. So this is cadmium red light. Okay, not medium, not deep. We want cadmium red light. Okay, and the pigment that I'm using here is PR9 PY83. Great. So we're going to be painting our entire canvas board with this cadmium red light. Very important in order to have the same experience. But if you don't have the funds to go buy this, but you do have just cadmium red or vermilion red, then you are welcome to use that. It will give you a similar feeling. We can always lighten it by adding a little bit of white. Okay. The next color that we will be using, that I've also not used before in my tutorials, is alizarin crimson. And we're going to be using this to darken our greens. Okay, so that is the pigment code PR146 and PBK11. Just in case you have something similar, but alizarin crimson is going to help us with our greens. Right. I've painted with this before, but not necessarily use it as a color in our tutorial, and this is lavender. So we're looking at a pigment PW6 or PV23. So anything that's lavender or lilac or a pastel violet, that's what we're looking for. Then I'm going to use my Arctic blue, and the pigment is PW6, PY42, PG7 and PBK11, or just a light pastel blue, but it must be a warmer blue, and you're going to see why now. I'm using a cooler blue as well. If you compare that, you can see this one is very cool compared to that Arctic blue. And this is from Iris. It's called Botanical Bliss, but this brand is South African, so you might not have it international. And what you can mix if you don't have this particular brand and color is you can use ultramarine blue and white, and that will give you the cool blue tones that I'm looking for. Okay, then the next one we are looking for is Naples yellow. I want the one that looks like a band-aid. So it's definitely got a yellow orangey hue to it, not the green one that looks like almost this leaf. That's too minty. Okay, so we want this one that's got a slightly yellowy tone to it, or just Naples yellow hue. Let's see if there's a pigment code on here. Yes, so it is titanium dioxide PW6 and yellow iron oxide PY42. So there is your Naples yellow. Now, the interesting thing in this tutorial is that I'm going to be using all four of these colors at the same time, and that's going to give us the most beautiful sandy, beachy, kind of beigey, neutral color, but with interesting nuances. So it's not just a flat color. Okay. Now, titanium white, very important. We need titanium white. As you guys can see, I did a bit of shopping. And let's talk about, okay, we need cadmium yellow. We need cadmium orange. We need magenta, turquoise. I've got here iron oxide black. It's all in the list. Okay, also a color I have here is floral coral. It might also be something that's not available to you. So forgive me. So what you can use, because look at all the coral tones in this painting, okay? So you can just use your magenta and your orange and a bit of this cadmium light red. You should get a similar tone, or you can also grab a bit of a neon orange that we tone down a little bit with some white and some magenta. So it's optional, it's not essential, okay? I've got here Payne's Grey. Payne's Grey is just an amazing color because it's transparent and it helps me to create softer translucent shadows that doesn't cover up everything. Okay, then I've got here burnt sienna, and I've got burnt umber. So this just gives us a variety of browns. Let's talk about the greens, because the greens we're going to be using I can't find in South Africa. If you're in the States, you'll find this color that I'm talking about with Liquitex. It's called Hooker's Green Deep. It is an extremely dark green. It's almost black, but it has a transparency to it. So I'm going to show you guys how to mix your own Hooker's Green Deep. So try to use Viridian Phthalo Green, or just Green Earth or Sap Green. And we're gonna use the iron black, and we're gonna use the alizarin crimson to darken that color, because we're gonna play with a lot of contrast in this painting. And then last but not least, I've got phthalo blue here. So I know it's a lot of color, but if you've been painting me for a minute, most of these colors should be in your arsenal, I think, with exception maybe of these two reds. That's really new to me. Black and white is general. Yeah, I think that's about the only two colors that's really new to my supply list. So I've shared that with you guys so you know what to get. Right, let's talk about brushes. It's always good to choose the brushes according to your canvas size. So if you are adventurous and you are painting this on a bigger canvas, then you will obviously need bigger brushes. Otherwise, it might take you months in order to do this painting. So I always look at sort of areas that I need to paint, and that brush needs to go in there. So smaller brushes for smaller areas and smaller details. So what have I got here? I've got two angle brushes, and angle brushes is very powerful tools because they have a flat surface at the top, but they also have a bit of a toe or a tip that's slightly finer because of the angle. So it gives us interesting brush marks, and you're able to get into tighter corners with the sharp edge on the one end, but also cover a lot of base with the broad part of the brush. So I've got here a medium size angle brush and a smaller angle brush. The smaller one's angle is slightly more angled, but it's not essential to be like that. Just get a nice angle brush. And then I've got two round brushes here. This is like a number 8 or a number 6 round brush. That's just going to help us to do some of these coral structures that we will need a little brush for. I might even use something smaller like a number 6 or whatever. So some round brushes, and then my trusted 00 fine liner. Now this little fine liner I use in order to do a little bit of details and highlights where I don't want a very thick line. So you should be able to do this entire painting with these 4 brushes. Okay, so that's sort of the brushes I will be using on this painting. The next thing that I use is my own wet palette. So if you're painting new with me, you don't have a wet palette, please don't panic or go out and buy an expensive wet palette. It's a great investment if you paint a lot, but you don't need to do that. I just use this Tupperware. Now, this Tupperware, I basically then use a little bit of a kitchen towel, and that's another thing I use a lot of. And I will just fold my kitchen towel, and then I will use my water mister, which is another thing that I use, and I mist this up with water. And then I will use painting palette paper or just wax paper that you cut according to the size, and you put that on top. And then what happens is your paint does not dry out on you, and you're able to paint for longer, especially if you get interrupted and you must go run an errand. Then you can just put the lid on and just make it airtight. When it's airtight like that, with a bit of moisture, you replicate the conditions that's inside a tube. So your paint will remain usable until you finished it. So less paint wastage, especially between sessions. I really work with this all the time. And then I've got always to my left 2 containers of water, one to rinse my dirty brush and one for clean water. So I always think that is a good idea. And I might also use some watercolor pencils or colored pencils just to scribble down some intentions and some affirmations on the canvas before we get into the painting process. But you can use an ordinary graphite pencil for that, or you can use paint that you've diluted if you want to paint it in. So that is what we're basically going to be needing. Let me think if there's anything else. Right now I can't think of anything else, but do look at the description information on this video. If I've missed anything, it will all be listed there for you. And you are also welcome to ask if there's anything that is not clear that you will need. So hopefully that will begin our beautiful process with the seahorse. I keep wanting to say unicorn because it looks like a horse to me. So forgive me if somewhere in a moment I call this a unicorn or something, but it's not. It's a seahorse. I'm going to really try and focus on that. Okay, so this is exciting, people. Last but not least, it is my intention to begin to have a group call with you guys. I really wanted to do it over the weekend, but it really got busy at the salon, and my session that I did schedule with you guys for Saturday afternoon, I wasn't able to attend that because I was still working, and Sunday I was exhausted. So I think what I am going to do is I'm going to start to do the group calls on a Monday morning, maybe before I begin to record my session, something like that. It is a time that really suits me. So I know that a lot of you won't necessarily be able to attend in person. It's something that I want to grow in as a coach, and it's one of the things that feedback was given. People want to spend more time with me in real time, face to face. But I find it really challenging to go on a face call and then there's no one to focus on in the beginning. I know as we develop this, then my confidence will grow, and the more people that is able to attend, that are able to attend at the times that I can show up and offer that, I think the more I will grow in that sort of direction. So I don't like Zoom. Zoom is super complicated, and I have to pay for Zoom in order to have an open studio where, you know, I've had sessions on Zoom before, and then just when everyone starts to warm up and begin to share, 45 minutes is over and the session closes, and then you have to dial back in to try and get everything back on track. And I don't appreciate that, and I really don't have dollars to spend on an app that is free elsewhere. So I have decided to use Google Meets. It's absolutely free and available to anyone, and I can be on it for as long as I want to, and I can record the sessions. And it's very simple. You use the link I provide, and at the time you dial in with your Google Meet app with the link I provided, and there you are. So it's something that is available for everyone. Most smartphones will already have it loaded on the phone, but you can just look at your Google apps, look at Meets, and it's very straightforward and simple to use and more inclusive. And that is the whole idea. So if you see I share a Google Meet link either on Patreon or on the Creative Heart group, that means I'm offering a free face-to-face online session. And usually what I want to do with those sessions is just bring whatever you have, whatever you're working on, whether it's your art journal, piece of paper, crayons. It's no particular art materials that I want to use in those sessions, because I want to share some coaching information and just freestyle, express yourself, doodle, whatever, soul scribble kind of session, and just share from the heart, and let's get to know each other a little bit better. So that is something I plan to get into, so that you guys just know what is this Google Meet group call idea about and what it entails. And I just want to reiterate, it's free. I want to be able to give my free tier patrons also some value and something that they can plug into, and then with the actual deeper tutorial stuff with my paying tier. So that is sort of my intention going forward, and I hope I've shared all of the information that you need to get started. So in our next session, we're gonna dive into our canvas and we're gonna start unwrapping the Seahorse Spirit Guide information that we can begin to digest as we get into the painting. So I'll see you in the next episode. Stay creative, and bye-bye for now.